Hey, how do you feel about some high rarity cards, or maybe some foreign ones, or maybe be ahead of the game with others by preparing for future set releases with very quick shipping? Check out EJ Gaming and use code British5 on checkout for 5% off on all your orders. Link in the description. Greetings, duelists, and welcome to another video. So, as so many people already know, I am very vocal when it comes to the Vanquish Soul deck. I have been playing this deck a lot. I have been doing a lot of well with it at events, and I have been showcasing this deck and theorizing it and like explaining a lot of things that when it comes to deck theory involving the strategy. But I have many people been asking me like, how does this engine work? How does the super heavy samurai thing work with Vanquish Soul? Some people have asked me to do combos with it, and some people are just skeptical in like the validity of this card in Vanquish Soul. And today's video is pretty much like the intended purpose is to show you how this combo operates, show you the purpose of this engine in this deck, show you a lot of things you can do with the strategy that you wouldn't be able to do if you don't play the samurai cards. And this is not to like dissuade you from playing anything else. This is not to convince you to just play the samurai engine. This is more to give more clarity to those that are very skeptical on it and don't understand like how this engine operates. But yeah, another thing I'm going to do later is I'm going to explain a few combos and a few tricks that many Vanquish Soul players should be aware of whenever they're playing this strategy, because some people are not familiar with it. And I think that the more knowledge you have on interactions in the Vanquish Soul deck, the better you will be doing like playing at tournaments and events, because it's an edge you will have over your opponent. One really big advantage that it comes to Vanquish Soul is that not many people know how to play against this deck. This deck has a lot of weird lines. They have like interactions that work very well against non-engine, and yeah, but without further ado, let's begin. The first combo I'm going to show you is a one card combo. It can be either motorbike or the Wakaushi. It's specifically a Wakaushi combo, but the motorbike can get you to the Wakaushi. And if you open motorbike specifically, there is one line in this combo that I'm going to show you later on that it becomes a little bit different. But yeah, let's pretend this is already in the graveyard. We're just going to do Wakaushi. So we're going to scale the Wakaushi, and Wakaushi has the effect that if you have no spell and traps in your graveyard, you can scale another samurai, and you can special summon the Wakaushi. So we're going to scale the Big Benkei, and we're going to special the Wakaushi. Now what we're going to do is we're going to activate Big Benkei's effect. Big Benkei says if you have a samurai monster on the board, you can grab another samurai, a samurai soul specifically, from our deck and add it to our hand. The card that we're going to add is called Soul Gaia Booster. So Soul Gaia Booster has the effect that it can target a samurai on the field. It can scale itself in the spell and trap zone. Not scale, but place itself. And then the monster that is equipped to it becomes a tuner. The other thing that is really cool about Gaia Booster is that it can unequip itself and special summon itself. Pretty much like the ABC pieces. So now that we have two level 4s, we're going to overlay them both, and we're going to summon the King Dempsey. King Dempsey is one of the cards that really made the Vanquish deck very strong with the Samurai engine. It's pretty much like one of the linchpins of the deck, one of the main reasons you play this engine in the first place. The King Dempsey is going to do its effect, and you're going to grab Rosin. So you have not normal summoned yet, and now this is where the Vanquish Soul portion begins. Now what we're going to do now is we're going to normal the Rosin. Rosin is going to add us a monster. With the context that it's only one card combo and we have nothing else in our hand, we're going to do Rosin's effect, and with Rosin we're going to grab Dr. Madlove. Now what we're going to do is we're going to link away the Rosin, and we're going to summon Rock of the Vanquisher. And with Rocket the Vanquisher, we're going to do one of two things: either grab the Rosin back to our hand, or special summon the Dr. Madlove. We're going to special summon the Dr. Madlove, and with Dr. Madlove's effect, we're going to grab us a spell or a trap. The usual options are Continue or Dust Devil. A lot of people go to Continue first. This is the part where like it really depends on the rest of your hand. It really depends on your knowledge with Vanquish Soul. It really depends on your opponent's interactions with you, what deck they're playing, etc., etc., etc. So there's no real wrong option between these two. But I'm going to show you the lines that involve which happens with whatever one you want to grab. If you grab Continue, what you're going to end up doing is that you're going to set the Continue, and then in your opponent's turn, you're going to flip the Continue. You're going to special summon the Rosin. If your opponent summoned on a zone that is not where Dempsey or Dr. Madlove is pointing to, then you summon Rosin into that zone, because this can be a potential interruption. And then you do Rosin's effect, and you just grab another Vanquish Soul to your hand. If you go for the Dust Devil line, what's going to happen here is you're going to have Dust Devil as one of your interruptions, and then you can just use Rock of the Vanquisher to grab back the Rosin to your hand, and then you have Rosin for follow-up next turn, or as a potential reveal for another Vanquish Soul in the off chance you do summon it like later in the other turns. So that's pretty much like the basic combo, the one that just involves Wakaushi. Now I'm just going to show you what other scenarios you can have with the engine. Let's say, for example, you already have the Rosin in your hand. If you already have Rosin in your hand, that means that you no longer need to summon King Dempsey as part of your line. So what other options do you have involving the Samurai engine? Well, I guess we are going to show you. Now that we have Rosin in our hand, we're going to do a different line. Now we're going to activate the Wakaushi. The Wakaushi is going to scale the Big Ben K. The Wakaushi special summons. And then the Big Ben K is going to grab us the Gaia Booster again. And then you're going to equip the Gaia Booster. And this line is pretty much almost the same thing. But now we're not going to XYZ summon. We're going to Synchro summon. And this line is going to differ depending if you opened Motorbike or you did not open Motorbike. If you did not open Motorbike, you're going to Synchro these two into Sideframe Lord Omega. And now what's going to happen is that the Wakaushi is going to activate, and the Wakaushi is going to put itself into the Pendulum Scale. So this can be other cards. This can be the Tengi monster, the Berserker of the Tengi. This can be Borrowload Savage Dragon. This can be a plethora of other options. The Red Dragon structure that just came out. So if you want to do Red Dragon lines involving like the new Star Red Dragon and stuff like that, you can do that in this deck. That is, well, not in this deck, but like with the Samurai stuff. But we summon specifically Omega for two reasons. One, this card can be a card that just disrupts your opponent, like taking a card out of their hand. If your opponent hand traps you, you can punish them by trying to Omega snipe another card out of their hand, and then they're playing with more minimal resources. That comes up against decks like Purely, for example, where they need multiple cards in their hand in order for their deck to function optimally, because they need the discard fodder for their memory cards. So yeah, that's really, really strong here. Another thing about Omega that a lot of people overlook is that the graveyard effect can come up when it comes to the Samurai engine, because if this deck plays very minimal spell and traps, meaning that if you have like one copy of a spell or a trap in your graveyard, you can put it back into your deck with the Omega, and that could mean more activations for Dr. Madlove to grab from the deck. That could mean turning on your Samurai engine once again, and a plethora of other things. So without the Motorbike, this is the best Synchro 8 that you can summon. In the off chance you do have the motorbike, instead of Omega, the monster that you summon would be Accel Stardust Synchro Dragon. Or Accel Synchro Stardust. And with the Accel Stardust, you're going to target the motorbike in your graveyard and you're going to special summon it. And that's a bit better than Omega play because it potentially barren the floor. Not only is it barren the floor, but you're doing that under 5 summons, so you don't have to worry about Nibiru, for example, if that is like an option. But yeah, let us go here. Let's say we actually summon the Baron on the floor. Now something you can do is you normal summon the Rosin. That Rosin will grab us the Dr. Madlove. Same thing as always. We're going to link away the Rosin. The Rosin is going to make Rock of the Vanquisher. And now, instead of summoning with the Rock of the Vanquisher, you're going to grab the Rosin back to your hand with the Rock of the Vanquisher. The reason for that is because you do have a full Pendulum scale, meaning that you can perform the Pendulum summon and just Pendulum summon the Dr. Madlove. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab Rosin back to our hand, and then we can special both the Madlove and the Rosin via Pendulum summon. And now with the Dr. Madlove, you can grab us the Dust Devil or the Continue. In this specific line, Continue is a lot better, and I'll explain why. The reason you grab the Continue is because if you end up summoning something like Abyss Dweller, and I'm going to say it right now, this card should be in your extra deck. In this very next format, this card is going to be summoned a lot. Like, you're going to be facing Tear Elements, you're going to be facing Branded Chimera, you're going to be facing the Tear Elements, you're going to be facing like a few other decks that just get stopped by Dweller. Unchained is another popular one. I almost forgot about them. So you're going to be summoning this card a lot. And with the Continue, what you can do is, on your turn, you're going to detach the Rosin. You're going to set the Continue. In your opponent's turn, you're going to detach for Dweller. Again, you're detaching the Dr. Madlove. And then what you can end up doing is, you're going to do Continue, and you can special the Rosin. You can do Rock of the Vanquisher, grab the Dr. Madlove back to your hand, and then with the Rosin, you add another attribute, and now you have a guaranteed attribute for Rosin's effect. Not only that, but like, depending on the rest of your hand, you have a lot more disruptions. You're there under Dweller, you have the Baron to negate, and let's say for example you grabbed like Heavy Burger or Caesar. You can tag the Rosin back to your hand, and you have follow up for next turn. And then if you have the Dr. Madlove in hand, you can reveal for Burger, and that just becomes a draw. And like, you did all of that with just Rosin Motorbike. So yeah, like, this is a really, really strong 2-card combo. But yeah, this is pretty much like the Samurai portion. This is like the purpose of the Samurai engine and why the Samurai engine is really strong in Vanquish Soul. Like, not many people know these lines, so it's good for you to know them. Maybe this might like help with your skepticism. Maybe this will like entice you to play the Samurai engine. You don't have to play this engine in this deck, but after the combos that I just showed, it kind of tells you like how optimal like the Samurai stuff is. But that's not the only reason why I play the Samurais. I feel like Vanquish Soul is like the best deck you can play the Samurai cards in, because Vanquish Soul naturally did not play a lot of spell and traps in the first place. The main spell and traps that you play are like stuff that are part of their engine. and a few miscellaneous cards that are for consistency. There are some builds that don't even play this many spell and traps. Like Small World is not very common in many decks. Um, like the talents is also like it's not as super common either. So you can just play the deck without these four cards, and it's like even less spell and traps for you to work with. Some people don't play the Dust Devil, and they just play the Continue. I do recommend you playing Dust Devil though. Um, but yeah, that's pretty much it. Like with the samurai stuff. Now, let's talk about interactions with the Vanquish cards, because some people just don't know how to interact with these cards very well, and depending on how your hand is, you can do like another plethora of things. Like the really cool thing about Vanquish Soul is this is a deck that is very very resilient, even through like a couple of hand traps. There are some hand traps that can blow out you, like Nibiru for example. Um, some hand traps are just not really easy to play around. Um, However, there are some hand traps that really don't do a lot against you. Let's say, for example, you open the Rosin and you opened like the Heavy Borgar. And let's say your opponent has Droll and Lockbird and Imperm. Well, something really cool. What if I told you that you can dodge both hand traps with these two cards? You're probably like thinking, how is that possible? Well, what we're going to do here is we're going to normal the Rosin, and sometimes a lot of people will just going to think about just imperming the Rosin, because not many people know about this interaction with Heavy Borgar, and there are instances where people do know about the interaction, but they know if a Rosin resolves, it's just very very strong, and it's just a lot of advantage. So basically, if they try to imperm you or stop you, you just chain the Heavy Borgar, and you grab the Rosin back to your hand, and then you add with the Rosin. Let's say for this explanation, you're grabbing Dr. Matlove, and let's say in resolution, your opponent tries to draw. Well, now, in chain to the Droll and Lockbird, you can chain Heavy Borgar, reveal the Dr. Madlove, and then just draw one card. You did not get the Dr. Madlove's effect to grab a disruption for your opponent, but you have both Rosin and Dr. Madlove in hand. You have the draw from Heavy Borgar. And now what you can do is you can link away for Rock of the Vanquisher. And you can Vanquisher, grab back the Borgar, or Vanquisher to special summon one of the guys. And then in the next turn, you can just grab the Borgar and you can flip the Borgar again. In your opponent's turn, you can special the Rosin, and the Rosin becomes an interruption, depending on the attributes you have in hand, and just so on and so forth. But it's really cool for you to know that interaction, because your opponent wasted two hand traps, and you didn't win minus on card advantage. Let's say you didn't have any of these, and you only had the Rosin, and you normal the Rosin, and your opponent does the Imperm. I mean, you can just link away the Rosin, summon the Rock, grab Rosin back to hand, and your opponent's turn, you can do Rock, special the Rosin, and then the Rosin just grab you any of the other monsters, and just interact with your opponent that way. So that's one other thing that you can do. Now I'm going to show you one interaction that this deck has against like the more meta decks. Let's say you have Pluton in hand. And this is going to be an explanation on why Pluton should be played in your deck. Not many people think about Pluton. as a potential interaction. Let's say you opened Pluton and you opened Heavy Borgar, and let's put us any dark monster. Let's grab a DD Crow. And let's pretend your opponent has. I'll show it right here because I think I do have the card. Here we go. Let's say your opponent has E Purely Noir. And let's say alongside the E Purely Noir, they have. Let's pretend these are those. Let's pretend that they have 3 memories in hand. This is one interaction that not many people know about. I've been in this situation twice, and it won me the game both times. So, as you guys already know, E Purely Noir has the effect where if you activate a memory, and it's a when effect, you activate the Noir to put the memory under it, and you set a Purely Trap, right? So, this effect to attach the memory can be done up to 3 times. However, this effect can miss timing. So why is that important in this situation? Well, let's say they activate a memory and they try to attach to the Noir. You can chain the Pluton, and then the Pluton will summon, and then the Purely Noir is not going to be able to trigger, meaning that they lost the memory. And if they decide to discard, they're just going to go even more minus. Let's say they try to activate a second memory. Well, let's chain Heavy Borgar, and let's just grab the Pluton and put it back to hand and just summon the Borgar. Now they lost the second memory because you also interacted with them and they also missed timing. Now they activate a third memory. Well, okay, we do Borgar's effect, we reveal the DD Crow, and we draw 1 card. And now they lost a third memory. And at that point, where it's going to be very hard for the Purely player to keep playing because you interacted with pretty much the entire hand, and you didn't let the Noir resolve, meaning that they don't get to the Purely Yeep. So, for interactions like that alone, is why Pluton is already really important. Another reason that Pluton is very, very important is kind of obvious. It's the only searchable fire monster that is a Vanquish Soul until Age of Overlord comes out. Once Age of Overlord comes along, we're going to have another one, which is the Jialong. I'll probably do videos talking about that later in the future. But yeah, that's 1-2 interactions that I kind of want to show you. When it comes to the Vanquish Soul deck, learning interactions is kind of important. Learning sequences is kind of important. The Purely matchup is not really hard for this deck. And the interaction that I showed you is not it's not the only reason why. Another reason is their monsters are really small. So if you have Dr. Matlove and you have the potential attributes for Dr. Matlove, this becomes an interruption for the Purely player. You also have the Rosin for disruption. You have the Caesar for disruption. Dust Devil is just a really strong card against that deck because it is an XYZ deck. So this is just another example. You already saw what you can do against decks like Unchained. Let me know in the comments if you're interested in showing more interactions with meta matchups involving this deck. I would be more than glad to do them for you guys. But yeah, this is it from me. This is pretty much just me showcasing you just how versatile the Samurai engine is in this deck, and just showing you stuff that you can do with Vanquish Soul in general. I hope you found this informative. I hope you found this to your liking. Stay tuned, more videos coming soon. And welcome to the new format. But yeah, that's it from me. Take care.